match for a good blaster at your side.
Welcome to Wookiee Religion, the Star Wars podcast, episode 100. This is Tyler.
This is Michael.
And nothing is any different than normal.
Nope.
It's a very special episode 100 where everything will be the exact same, because why would we change anything about how wonderful this is?
Screw you.
No, Michael.
Oh.
We're just giving them what they need, not what they want.
Screw you?
Well, maybe that too.
Do you need screw? We're here to give it. How has your Star Wars been?
My Star Wars as well.
And Star Wars unto you.
Good Star Wars unto you.
And to you.
And also with you. Star Wars has been weak recently.
Weak!
Yeah. No, there's not been a lot happening, and despite promises, I've not read any new books.
Oh, wow. The tables hath turned.
Have you finished the one?
No.
Okay.
The table is, what do you call it when the table stays the same way? But
it's just a lazy Susan where there's one big plate on it. Nothing's changing when you spin it around. It's still the same thing.
Passing it to each other.
Right.
It's your turn.
Yeah. So
you eat the deviled eggs.
Thrawn Treason is out, and I haven't touched it, which is frustrating, but I've been really busy, unfortunately.
Yeah. I haven't been busy, and I've done nothing. Well.
You've at least set that expectation.
Yes. This is a lifestyle that I've chosen.
I've feigned attempts.
You have no excuse.
I've feigned attempts at reading. It will happen, probably after The Rise of Skywalker comes out.
So what do we got? We got Master and Apprentice.
I haven't read Master and Apprentice.
We've got Thrawn Treason. I'm
almost done with Alphabet Squadron.
Yeah, that was the other one. Yeah, Alphabet Squadron.
There's definitely another book that I'm not thinking about that's out.
How's that been so far, Alphabet Squadron?
I like it. I think it's very interesting.
How does it compare to the old X-Wing series? Is it not the same?
Not the same. Because, I mean, the whole point of the story is like the lead character used to be like the lead of a TIE squadron, right? So it's all about like her perception of things.
She defected at some point.
Right. It's all, her perspective of things and like getting used to, like, it's interesting thinking about stuff like, it's nice having that perspective on the TIE fighter side, because I don't remember anywhere we ever got that really. Is like the way they function, the way they, internally, and the way they function as far as fighter vehicles go, right? Like, when you think about TIEs, I don't often think about the fact they don't have droids. It is fully manual TIE. Yeah. It is a fighter plane from
They don't have
World
shields
War II.
Either. If it's a standard TIE,
right? Yeah, no shields,
no hyperdrive,
no droids. It is like World War II flying ace type stuff.
Right.
They have to be very good.
They have to wear pressurized suits, because I don't think the cockpit is pressurized.
I don't
know about
remember.
That though.
Whereas, so she's now flying an X-Wing, and is like doesn't trust the droid to like do its job type of thing, like, to set vectors and to aim for stuff. And so, just the fact that it was talking about how, the resistance, or not the resistance, the Alliance, the rebels, their ships were basically built for people that weren't very good at flying.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Like, they were built for, we need to have lots of people flying ships and being able to fight, but we can't be training all of these people to be able to do that either. They're not all fighter pilots. They were just picking up people. It's like Independence Day, where you got people that you got the crazy crop duster dude.
That's right.
That's
everybody's. That's
what Luke was. Luke was the farm boy who flew the crop duster into.
Yeah, that's true. That's a good comparison. I've never thought about that.
He flew it into the butthole of the giant spaceship. That's exactly. Independence Day is just a ripoff of Star Wars.
Yeah, that's true. And then you got your Porkins out there who's
right, exactly. Yeah, you got these people that probably shouldn't be flying anything.
He's seen better days. I mean, he got shot right away, along with a lot of other people.
Yeah. So yeah, it's just like, her getting used to like the conveniences of having a droid, and like how much nicer that is, but also she like wants to have that control. So yeah, it's just having that perspective of how shitty really the rebels, squads were,
Yeah.
compared to the TIE fighters, who obviously had the Imperial Academy and um
Well,
trained, and they had to be good.
that's where most of the Alliance pilots came from anyway.
And a lot of them, were in the academy and then left.
defected or you graduated or defected from the
And that's what I
Empire
said on a
eventually.
previous episode. Like that was her original plan, was to do that.
Yeah.
But then she stuck with the Empire because she didn't see the bad sides of it until Operation Cinder.
Sure. Right.
So yeah, just having some of those, I think it's cool having the TIE fighter pilot perspective of things.
Oh,
which you
Operation
didn't really
Cinder. Yeah, so this isn't the Alliance at this point. This is the
this is the Resistance
New
now,
Republic.
or the New Republic now. So even that still, because the New Republic, obviously when they took over, they wanted to get rid of the military anyways.
Yeah.
So they still haven't really, the people that are still flying are the people that were probably already flying for
Well,
the
yeah, they
rebels.
probably fought through the Alliance,
right.
through that war.
So like in the book, some of the people that she's that are in Alphabet Squadron, one of them was at the Battle of Endor, right? So they all went through that, but it's not like they have an academy, because they're getting rid of the military for the most part. They're not trying to build it at all. So it's still kind of that ragtag group of people that whoever's left are the people that were actually good at flying. But the ships originally weren't built for people who were good at flying, unlike the TIEs, who, they either blow up or they're good. Because they don't have shields, they don't have hyperdrives, they don't, you can't. It's very short range and fast, which is cool to have that perspective, because I don't think we got ever really much into the TIE fighter pilot, I don't know, persona.
Yeah, that's interesting. I like the stuff that goes back and speaks about the characters from the perspective of the Empire, or characters that served in the Empire or currently serving in the Empire. Like that whole military organization has always been interesting to me. Like Tarkin had a lot of that. Obviously Thrawn has a lot of that.
Yeah.
I forget some of the other
building on the other side.
The what was the Rogue One book about Galen?
Catalyst.
Yeah, that had a lot of that.
Yeah, there's a lot more. Like they're filling in the Imperial side and of the story, which is, I mean, you always knew it was there, right? But it just, like, the amount of people that weren't bad people, right?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, it's just like any government or superpower. There's not always, it's not all bad people. Most of the people that died on the Death Star probably weren't, they weren't Darth Vader, right?
Right.
You just got the people that are just working. That's the job they have, and there's thousands, millions of people on this giant, space station.
Yeah.
And they all died. So there's all that story of, like, real people that were involved in it and were fighting for a cause that was a lie to them, anyways.
Yeah.
Until Operation Cinder, were the people that finally saw what was really
which
the
is interesting
Emperor's goal.
Because Operation Cinder was terrible, but I mean, it's just an extension of the Empire. Those are the tactics the Empire deemed appropriate, and that's an organization that had been around for a while. It's kind of weird to see like that was the last straw for people,
Well, right, but I mean, it was that.
I guess that was the most blatant.
Right.
Like, not subtle at all.
That was one of her things, right? Is that any other attacks were for a a military reason.
Oh, there was a strategic
reason
purpose.
To be doing things.
Right.
To either stop the rebels who were hurting things, or it was, for protection. But then they just, like, go destroy the ecosystem on this planet now.
Right.
Why?
Right.
Just because. And that's when she was like, this has all been a lie. So yeah, building out that, I don't know, the backstory and the people of the Empire, I think, is really cool.
Yeah.
Because I don't remember getting much of that in the EU. It seemed to always really be focused on the Republic, that I recall.
I guess. I mean, the original Thrawn books obviously had some of that. There were some other books that I'm blanking on them now. The oh shoot.
I feel like it was always just like big events with a big bad guy or like more Sith or like something big and not just like, you know, the normalcy of the inner workings of the Empire.
Yeah.
It was always just some like, big evil bad thing that was happening that you got any view into the
I think
Empire.
the
with.
Darksaber books had
remember.
that some of that. Do you remember those?
No.
I never read a lot of that series, but or it was not the Darksaber, but oh shoot.
The only stuff I remember was always, like extra Sith stuff, right? You've got like Revan, or you've got, any of those types of books that always had like, oh, there's a new bad Sith person,
Yeah.
type thing, and not actual, just the political warfare.
Yeah.
Which, like we keep
Oh,
saying,
it was
we're just enjoying the old man aspects of the new, of the new, the new trilogy and books.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of, I guess the Empire, it works. Trust me, it works. There's the Master, and speaking of books, Master and Apprentice.
There you go.
There we go. Master and Apprentice came out. It's been what, at least 4 months, right?
It's been a while.
So that came out.
I was just gonna say we should, for episode 100, the big thing that we do, we should talk about the thing that's important in the first half of the episode and
I'm
not
trying.
in the last 10 minutes.
I'm really trying here.
Okay, good.
In Master and Apprentice, which came out a long time ago, and neither of us read it, but we know the important details because why wouldn't we?
Because that's all that matters.
like obviously that's where the Jedi
full
prophecy.
prophecy.
Yeah, the Jedi full prophecy was finally released in text, in actual detail.
Yeah, in its entirety.
There was another prophecy in the book though that I didn't see until a couple days ago when someone posted about it on Reddit. And I hadn't seen anyone talking about it at all, but for those that don't know,
It's funny what happens when you don't read a book.
Well, but I would think this would be just as important as the other prophecy, because for those that don't know, Qui-Gon Jinn and Obi-Wan, that's the Master and Apprentice of the book Master and Apprentice. But
Yes.
for those that don't know,
I'm following.
Count Dooku
I've heard of him.
was Qui-Gon's master in the
Go
Jedi
on.
Order. How many people know that? Do people know that Dooku was a Jedi?
Yeah. How many times was that mentioned?
Is it
several times? Yeah.
several?
Yeah, in the
I feel like it's maybe
prequels.
once, like a throwaway. I don't, like, off the top of my head, I cannot recall when it was actually mentioned.
Well, I
I
know
know
Yoda-
I know it was. but I
Yoda says
can't
it
remember
once. I'm pretty sure Obi-Wan says it once. I know there was the scene in Attack of the Clones where Dooku captures Obi-Wan. Right? That's an Attack of the Clones, right? It's either that
Yeah,
or
when he has him like chained up, basically.
yeah. That's where he reveals that Qui-Gon was his apprentice at one point.
But that was in Attack of the Clones. Who
Who
watched
watches that?
Yeah. Who has ever seen that film and or chooses to remember it?
It's one of those movies that you know what's in it, but you've never.
The only thing that
actually
happens in that
watched
movie
it.
is C-3PO goes on an adventure in a droid factory.
That's probably 95% of that movie.
That and CG fruit. That's all I've got is love story and C-3PO droid factory adventure.
Yeah.
And
Padme gets half her shirt cut off.
yes, that was an important part of my childhood.
I remember that part.
That was a turning point in my childhood.
And the big Jedi battle.
Oh yeah, that too. Not as important as the.
I honestly only remember the last half of that movie. I'm really fuzzy on the first half.
Does the first half really matter?
Oh, there's a whole Camino stuff. I just remembered that's in it.
It is true. That is the
with
clone part
Jango
of the,
Fett. That's actually probably the coolest part of the movie is the whole Camino
Yeah.
with Jango Fett.
the useful part.
Yeah,
That's
that was actually a good part of that movie.
Right.
Basically anything without Anakin.
But he was riding on giant ticks. What were those? Those were nerfs?
The big
No,
green thing?
Those weren't nerfs, were they? I forget. And he fell off one after he was riding on it, and they giggled, and then they ate CG fruit. Yeah.
Oh, those.
Yeah. The giant tick cows.
Those were nerfs, right?
Maybe. I feel like they are. Anyways, how we got to this is talking about Dooku, right? So Dooku.
I think I know. Well, I don't know actually.
This is important information that we have to know, Michael.
Okay. Hold on. It's not in appearance.
I'm gonna search Anakin,
Nerf,
Naboo, Tick,
cows.
All right.
I don't think those are nerfs actually.
Aha! A shack.
Huh? SHAAK?
Yeah.
How did
It's
I
a
know?
non-sentient herbivore.
Okay.
Why does it?
Why does it have to say that part?
Why aren't they sentient? That's
Who would be?
so they graze, right? They graze on the grasslands of Naboo. So if they're non-sentient, is it just like a Roomba that's just like back and forth, just like eating the grass because it's just?
Well, if it was sentient, it would be it's just like a cow.
It's just
Cows
yeah.
aren't sentient.
Uh,
They're not. You ever seen a cow that's self-aware?
cows are pretty smart,
No, they're not.
like pigs.
What
Pigs
are you
are pretty
talking
smart.
about? What are you talking about? They're not sentient. Dogs aren't sentient. Do you know what that means? We're the only.
I feel like, well, yes, but whatever.
It's just trying to say it's not an alien species that's enlightened. Because there
I
are other
guess.
alien species in Star Wars.
I guess the experience of like subjectivity is the thing that I wasn't thinking about.
Okay.
Anyways,
Okay.
so Tix, CG Fruit, Count Dooku. Got it.
Moving on.
So Count Dooku was
Was
Qui-Gon's master
and he
and-
was part of the Order.
and was a Jedi at one point before all that crap happened. Anyways, so there's a flashback in the book where Qui-Gon's talking about how he was worried about Dooku and how he was fixated on a prophecy to the point that Qui-Gon thought that was drawing his master to the dark side. And the prophecy was, "He who learns to conquer death will through his greatest student live." That seems very pertinent to current, current rumblings for the Rise of Skywalker. He who learns to conquer death will through his greatest student live. Again. Which is exactly what is being rumored to be happening
Yes.
at the end of Rise of Skywalker.
So, what have we said up to this point is going to happen? We've said, I mean, this has already been rumored, I guess, but obviously
Yeah.
Palpatine's coming back.
Obviously,
And
in some capacity.
he is going to be, he's going to use Kylo. That was your theory, right? That he's going to
Right.
use Kylo somehow. Kylo's going to be an instrument to his resurrection.
I don't think Kylo knows that he is either. I don't think Kylo is attempting to bring back the Emperor. I think it's just
No.
It is through his stupidity and seeking of
And whininess.
power.
Yeah.
Like he's seeking to be in charge of everything, and,
Yeah.
and through doing that, he enables Palpatine to do whatever Palpatine's trying to do.
Yes. What else have we surmised
Palpatine
is going to happen in this
takes
movie?
over Kylo.
Palpatine
Well-
has some kind of Imperial remnant force
Yep.
that's attached to him somehow.
Well, we've got information on that.
A Sith fleet, if you will.
Yeah. So that's being rumored as well, is that there's crazy idea, but apparently in the unknown regions, there might be a remnant fleet waiting
What?
for Palpatine's orders.
Wow.
Who would have thought, Michael?
Who would have thought these things and recorded them on a podcast?
And said it probably in the last 10 minutes of an episode.
Yeah, that no one's heard yet.
Yeah, so that's the other piece. So you've got this one thing that's, it's in a novel, right? It's talking about how there is a prophecy of a master defeating death and through his greatest student living again.
Yeah.
Which seems, that could be taken in many ways, right? Kylo is a descendant of Vader, so it's through his greatest student.
Through that bloodline.
It could be taken that way, or if Palpatine has any actual if he had any actual part in Kylo's getting to this point, whether Kylo knew it or not.
Hmm.
In his rise to evil, you know, this all, like we've talked before, this all very well could have been guided by Palpatine in some way, shape, or form, with no one really being aware of it.
Or Vader, in killing the Emperor, somehow allowed the Emperor to transcend to
Right.
some greater. I mean, we don't know a whole lot about what happens to followers of the Sith
Yeah, what their
after
afterlife
death.
is.
Yeah, right. If they can exist within the Force, like preserve their identity in the same way that a follower of the light side of the Force can.
Right.
Um,
Which
so
you
far,
have to figure that has to be the case if he's coming back.
maybe. So far, from what we've seen of, it's only people that follow the light side of the Force that have been able to do that.
Right.
There's been some stuff in Legends about like Force spirits and stuff that were
Right.
from the dark side of the Force, but they were like localized and not really, you know, not the same thing, not something
Yeah.
that can exist in the entire Force.
And all we really got too was that Plagueis was trying to figure out a way to, but didn't seem to
find eternal
to
life.
find out how.
Yeah. That's yeah, I guess that's something I've never considered before. I always thought eternal life meant, preserving your corporeal body, preserving your life in a body
Right.
forever. But yeah, it could mean
Just being
existing
able to,
within the Force.
Yeah, just
instead.
reincarnating.
Yeah.
Using either using others, using apprentice or students. Like if he tries to, I don't know, become Kylo,
Yeah.
take over his consciousness. I mean, that's one way to do it. Or unless there is any sort of cloning involved, which has been an idea tossed around by people, but
Yeah.
I don't know if I like that idea too much.
An actual clone. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, him having actually cloned himself or had some sort of cloning facility.
I mean, we've talked about this before, but that's exactly what happened in Legends.
Right.
The Emperor had cloning facilities, and he had backup emperors, basically.
Right, and that's been another thrown out idea, is that like Snoke was a broken clone of the Emperor,
which is not true at all.
Which,
He
yeah,
was a
I-
humanoid. He wasn't a human.
Yeah,
he's a completely different species.
I wouldn't want that, but yeah, I mean that's been just a thing tossed around, that he was some messed up clone and
Yeah,
trying to
that's-
recreate the Emperor.
Yeah, that's not it.
But yeah, I don't. The cloning seems too easy. Again, to use cloning, as at least in the films.
Yeah.
So the whole like spirit force thing, which I mean that's been the whole thing running for this movie, right? Is how there's going to be a lot more of the force.
Mm-hmm. And we
in
get to
this
see,
movie.
what was the rumor early on, that we
Like
get to
getting
see
into
the inner
getting to
workings of
see,
the
like,
Force.
into the Force, yeah.
Yeah.
I guess
Whatever that means.
supposedly with Luke. So it'd make much more sense for it to be that like ethereal,
Yeah.
I don't know, spiritual ghost, whatever
Yeah.
thing trying to like invade either Kylo or some other host. I think that'd be much creepier than just,
Yeah.
"Ha! I've been cloned. Why did it take so?
You have stabbed me.
Why did it take so long?
Yeah, it was 30 years later.
What have you been doing?"
Yeah.
So yeah, and
Anyway.
in his attempt to try to come back, the other rumor is that, like we just mentioned before, is there's supposedly a remnant fleet in the unknown regions that have been basically awaiting Palpatine's orders, who've been having to deal with the unknown regions and, quote, the beyond. There's saying how they've basically just been having to fight to stay alive out there, waiting and making sure that they're ready for the orders, basically.
Yeah.
With Sith stormtroopers being a part of that fleet. And apparently, like, the unknown region is a hellish area that's not entirely stable, which is an interesting idea. Like, not having, so it's like having, like, I don't know, black holes and gravity wells and stuff, kind of like what we saw into with Solo, I guess. Just like weird creatures and gravity wells and just
Yeah.
an unstable
I mean,
part
that
of
was
the
just
universe.
Kessel. I mean, that
Right,
that
yeah.
that wasn't even in the unknown regions.
Right, and
That was
pretty,
within this
that was bad
galaxy.
enough.
Yeah, or
So
within
yeah,
that. Well, yeah. So, well, I guess if we had read Thrawn Treason, I'm sure there's
there
some
might be, yeah.
description of the unknown regions. But yeah,
Um,
we don't really know a lot about the unknown regions, huh? Well,
It's
I
what an
wonder
appropriate
why.
name. So yeah, they've just been surviving in the wilderness of space, waiting to be found and to finish their mission. So I'm guessing they had the coordinates plotted to get out there, but they don't know, I guess, necessarily how to get back unless told otherwise.
Hmm.
Um,
Well, I mean, that's where the remnants were sent, was into the unknown regions
right,
originally.
right. But they were given coordinates on how to get out into the unknown regions, but I'm guessing they don't really have a way back,
Or they just have
otherwise.
orders.
Or they're just being ordered to
Maybe
wait.
so. A Star Destroyer with a Sentinel got sent out to the unknown regions, right?
I'm assuming it had a sentinel on it.
I think we talked about that last episode. We were
I
assuming
can't
that.
remember if I can't remember her name.
Sloane?
Sloane, Admiral Ray Sloane. Can't remember if she had a sentinel on her ship or not. I would assume she did.
Okay. One came to her originally though.
Right.
Yeah. We were talking about that last
every
episode. Was
major
he sitting
person.
there dormant or not? And yeah, I guess we also talked last episode about it could very well, once they get to the coordinates they were ordered to go to, it could have activated and given them further orders.
Right.
Wait here for 30 years or something, you know?
Yeah, or until until the Emperor's ready.
Yeah.
And supposedly the Star Destroyers that are out there are equipped with planet-destroying weapons like the one on the Death Star itself. So some sort of like Death Star-esque
Oh boy. More Death Stars.
powerful weapon, but on Star Destroyers. So not even...
That's kind of like the Eclipse class from Legends. Do you remember that?
Yes.
It was a giant Star Destroyer, even bigger than the Executor class. It was huge. And it had a super weapon on it.
Okay.
A planet-destroying super weapon.
It makes
Kinda
sense
like
to
that.
reuse those, but it sounds like there's multiple Star Destroyers that might have those.
But these are just standard Star Destroyers.
It doesn't... I mean, yeah, it's... We don't have like hard information on this, right? It's
Right.
just Star Destroyers have planet-destroying weapons.
Right.
So yeah, the Sith Troopers are
It's
part of that. It's
interesting.
some sort of Sith fleet, which will be interesting to see if that's the case. Why are they called the Sith fleet? Unless it's just obviously there's a Sith Troopers, which didn't exist before they got out there.
Yeah.
So I wonder how that came to be.
And there's the
that.
whole, like, their armor looks a lot like First Order troopers. I don't know how that works out.
Right. How, yeah, what the tie-in is or how they...
It would be very coincidental
involved.
if they were two separate groups that didn't know about each other, you know? And they have similar armor design. That's what makes me think there has to be some connection between the remnants and the First Order. Somehow.
Other than Palpatine pulling the strings behind all of it and not... And they may not know about each other, but someone does.
Yeah,
Like
I don't know.
Someone's working both sides.
Yeah.
That General Pride, Allegiant General Pride.
I don't know.
He could be some like go-between.
Have we heard at any point if there are any First Order officers that came from the Empire or used to be Imperial officers? I don't think so.
I can't think of any.
Me neither. I wonder about that.
Yeah.
I know remnants were sent off,
Mm-hmm.
but that doesn't mean everyone who served with the Empire.
Yeah, not
left
everyone
the
not
galaxy.
everyone left. Yeah, it
Yeah.
was it seems like it was a select group.
Or at least everybody who, was aware of the Empire's continued efforts beyond the treaty.
Right. Interesting.
Yeah, I wonder. There has to be some connection. That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah,
I don't know what it would be.
Right, and then for there to be Sith troopers and a Sith quote fleet, like how did it come to be known as that, or how did it? Obviously, it probably is not just going to be straight up called that in the film. It's just what we're calling it. But the Sith troopers are called Sith troopers. Like that's the official name for them.
Well, that's the thing.
So yeah, how did
they're
that
part
come
of
to
some
be?
fleet,
How did that
yes.
come to be in
Yeah.
and of itself, outside of what's been going on?
Right. Yeah.
So who's under whose orders or by what orders? How were they trained to be Sith trooper? Like there's a lot more there than just being like, oh yeah, they're Sith troopers now.
Yeah.
Like yeah, okay, but how did any of that happen?
Right.
And then for the Sith troopers, supposedly there's jump trooper versions of them as well, like the ones in the trailers with the jetpacks that are chasing.
Oh yeah.
So
Right.
those are jump troopers. There's Sith trooper jump troopers as well,
Nice.
which will supposedly eject from their red TIE fighters and rocket out and continue fighting. So kind of like the Clone Wars with Mandalorians, shooting around with their jetpacks,
Right.
fighting people.
That's kind of cool.
So that's visually that could be pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, it has been 30 plus years. So
Yeah. It's a
Yeah.
long amount of time, and
how did they get? Yeah, like you said, how did they get their armor?
we've talked about all this before, but like the First Order, what we know about it so far is it seemed to rise organically. Like it came out of the ashes of the Empire in a way, but it was funded and kind of
Yeah.
led by all these disgruntled people
Right.
that wanted to do away with the New Republic
Yeah.
after the end of the Empire. So it's like I'm sure there was some Imperial like sympathizers at least that were involved in that, but it being an offshoot directly from the Empire, I don't know.
It never seemed like it was.
Everything we know about it doesn't indicate that right now.
Right.
So yeah, I wonder what that connection is.
And then so the rumor goes on about how Kylo somehow finds out about the fleet. There's just talks about there's some like alien creature called the Oracle, who he's led to somehow and gets like a wayfinding device to find them. And the rumor is like basically he's trying to seek it out for his own power, but
To find the remnants.
yeah, like he seeks out this other fleet like to further his own power. But I guess either Palpatine doesn't take too kindly to that, or they're not going to be allegiant to him because they're not.
Now that's interesting. Does a rumor say all of that? Like that he seeks out the remnant fleet, but they don't receive him well.
Yeah, so they've been out there, and so Kylo needs to find the Wayfinder device,
Yeah.
and it's the key he needs to unlock Palpatine's legacy, like for himself. And he gets this device from an alien that's like a spider, that's some kind of oracle.
Yeah.
And he thinks he's getting himself something powerful that answers to him, but Palpatine is not so willing to share his toys with anyone.
Now that's interesting. So that
Palpatine's contingency plans weren't to make sure Darth Vader's grandson received his inheritance.
right. So that okay.
So like,
So if you go with that, then
so it's like
that
Kylo
says that-
accidentally brings them back into the fold from the unknown regions and kicks off this whole thing with the Empire. Or the Emperor.
But yeah, so if you follow that thread and assume that all these rumors are true, the First Order and the remnants are not connected at all.
To their knowledge, yeah. There's a through line somewhere. There has to be. Which I mean would only be the Emperor or somebody allegiant to the Emperor.
That also raises a question: why? Okay, so say Kylo does accidentally bring about the end of the world, so to speak,
Right.
by bringing these guys back or finding them in the unknown regions and leading them back to the galaxy. Why? Like, what was Palpatine waiting for? You know, like what?
Yeah,
Luke is dead now. Like, was he trying to wait out the?
That's another good place to bring in a Sentinel. It's another really good place
Yeah.
to bring in a Sentinel.
It
like,
is.
promising this thing to Kylo, and Kylo
Yeah.
seeking it out, and it just being a total fuck you. And
Well, if the Oracle is this alien, like the rumor says, then
right,
I mean, there might be
Yeah.
a sentinel out in the remnant fleet, but
But why would
I
he be
don't know.
seeking out the Oracle in the first place if he didn't have a reason to believe there was a fleet? Like, how would he even know about the fleet in the first place?
You're saying a sentinel is the wayfinder device, or that it's a literal
directed him to the Oracle or something. I don't know.
Hmm. Oh, well,
There's
I
any
don't
way you
know
could
about
go with
that.
it, but why would he be seeking out a wayfinding device or the Oracle in the first place if he doesn't know about the fleet? So how would he even know that there's something else?
I could see that him at this point, he's on this quest for power.
I don't know, is he
now.
looking through old data and find some
Well,
information, or
he's on this quest for power, so he hears this rumor about some source of power or some whether it's a fleet or not, who knows.
it's like some contingency plan.
So he goes off
thing.
so he goes off to find that and ends up finding it, but then like the rumor says, he realizes that, oh, well, that just because I found it doesn't mean I'm now in charge of it. This I found,
Or in
I
finding
stumbled
it, he
into
kicks
this
off,
whole
he kicks
other
off this whole
plan.
thing.
Right. That part makes sense to me. I think that would be a cool story if that ends up being true. I just don't know, like, what was Palpatine's plan? What's he waiting for? Why hasn't this happened yet? Why does it take Kylo stumbling into the middle of this for it to be triggered?
Yeah, that's why I'm wondering if like
Is
with
the Oracle related to Palpatine somehow, and it's all part of his plan?
Or just like with the prophecy of, if the prophecy has anything to do with it, right? With the greatest, with their student being a part of it. I wonder if he had to wait for there to be someone that he could use to take to I don't know, embody whatever term you want to use for him taking over somebody's body. If that's the goal, right?
Well, what do you think?
He had to have someone strong enough that could house him, basically.
What do you think is more likely? Do you think it's that he finally finds his key, Palpatine finds his key to start this whole thing, right, or this catalyst, whatever you want to say, or this whiny man baby stumbles upon Palpatine's grand plan, and Palpatine is like, "No, you're not involved in this."
Yeah, I don't see Kylo accidentally clicking on a folder when he's trying to watch a kickflip video, and it's like, "What is this document? This isn't kickflips." And then he finds this whole extra fleet. I don't see that. I mean, I just don't. It seems like it would have to be
the source of power.
It seems like it would have to be directed from the Emperor in some form or fashion.
So you think the Emperor is using
that seems way too accidental for the Emperor, for Kylo.
I guess it all depends on what
he has
happens.
To be directed to it in some way.
I guess it depends on what happens at the very end with Palpatine. Like, is he able to resurrect on his own? And he just chooses to do it now?
That's the whole question, like you were just saying, is like, why it's been over 30 years, why now?
I know that, right.
Like, so is that the case? Has there been, since Vader, since Palpatine, and even Snoke wasn't a Sith, but he was powerful. Has there not been an appropriate host until now? Has an appropriate host that could withstand Palpatine's control?
If his whole plan was to find a host, right? What's he waiting for?
Well, he had to wait for an appropriate host that was strong enough to.
But I'm saying
him.
if that's his method of resurrection, is taking over somebody, if, like the other rumor said a while ago,
yeah,
if that's actually true and part of his plan is to inhabit somebody, yeah, does this mean Kylo is finally he's the worthy one,
or he's just the darkest? He's just the darkest thing in the universe right
now. Or what I'm saying is there's a completely other route here where Palpatine has his own plan and the First Order may be a pawn in that plan.
Right.
But Kylo stumbles into the middle of it and kind of maybe ruins it or like triggers it early or something.
I mean, just with the Emperor, stumbling doesn't seem to line up with the way he functions.
Well, I mean, did he expect the Death Star being destroyed? Did he expect Luke to be who he was?
Well, yeah, but I don't know. It almost seems clumsy for like having to bring him back in a film and it being this like horrible evil thing. Like, it seems much more likely for there to be like a holy shit moment of like, oh my gosh, this is why all of this happened, was because of this reason, and it's been a plan this whole time.
Yeah.
Right?
He's been
that
the-
moment when your mind suddenly explodes of like all the flashes of things that you've seen that you're like, oh, wait, all of this was because of this.
He's the
Instead of
wizard behind the
Kylo-
curtain the whole
yeah,
time.
instead
yeah.
of Kylo just like finding out about it and it kicking off that way. That seems kind of weak story wise, at least to me.
Yeah, I guess that makes sense. But then if that's the case, there has to be we've got to find out what the connection is.
Right.
Or multiple connections are to between the remnants and the First Order, or Palpatine's plan and the First Order.
How they're connected.
How are they involved? Why was Palpatine not involved from what we saw up until now?
I mean, that's the thing.
How does Snoke fit into all that?
Yeah. I mean, to me, that's still that hard point of who was Snoke really? And what was his plan, right? We've talked about this so many times, but like Snoke didn't really seem to care about the First Order and was letting them do their thing. So what was Snoke's actual plan with Kylo?
Yeah, he was just kind
and
of
with
aligned with them out of convenience, is what it seemed like.
out of convenience and fear, out of his power, basically. Just the same thing with.
I'm saying from his perspective, it was
Right.
convenient for him because they had similar goals.
But how did he ever get involved with them in the first place, right?
How did they find him, right?
How was he involved with Luke and with Kylo?
Why is he not a Sith but is still a user of the dark side of the Force?
A pretty
that
strong
seems a pretty big coincidence.
Right. So, like, where did he come from? Why was he involved with Luke and Kylo? How did he get Kylo away from Luke? Why was he seeking out to destroy Luke?
What, where, who, when, why?
Yeah.
How?
I feel like Snoke is the key to. He is the go-between. I feel like he has to be. Like, I think Snoke was performing a purpose for Palpatine. I wonder if he's I wonder if Snoke was an acolyte.
But yeah, maybe.
Right? If maybe all of this was for the purpose of providing a host for the Emperor. Like, that was his goal, maybe.
But that,
because he had to wipe out Luke too.
I
That was
understand
part
what
of the
you're
plan
saying.
as well.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying. But the way he talks about Kylo and how he found him and influenced him and was trying to train him, it was all very like, oh, I found you finally, and now there's now I can have this apprentice, and but you disappointed me, and like it was very just him focused. Like there wasn't a bigger thing. And you would think that
Possibly.
if the grandson of Vader existed and the Emperor was pulling the strings the whole time with Snoke, that there would be more of a purpose there, and it wouldn't be just kind of an accidental.
But maybe
Snoke
that was
finding
maybe it
Kylo.
was Snoke's goal
Or
to
finding
ingratiate himself with the Emperor, though. Like Snoke was all trying to do this.
Well, that's what I'm saying. It's the
ingratiate himself.
grandson of Vader. That's a pretty big deal.
Right.
Being trained by Luke Skywalker. I mean, if the Emperor was pulling the strings, you would think there would be more purpose to.
What if Snoke is so screwed up
that.
looking because he was a failed attempt at Palpatine trying to embody somebody?
I don't know.
I mean, that's just an idea.
Yeah, I know.
Like Snoke wasn't.
Yeah.
Snoke wasn't worthy of a host, and so it like totally jacked him up. And so now he's serving this purpose to find the next host.
Yeah. I don't know. I think if there was a direct connection like that to the Emperor.
There has to be, though.
I don't know. I really don't think there is.
But then that makes Snoke pointless. And I don't think...
Yeah, I think he is pointless.
Well, and I think that's how everyone feels. And I think that's where
frustrating.
we're going to get that moment of like, holy shit.
He wasn't
Snoke
pointless.
wasn't pointless. This was all for this like super sinister goal.
We totally knew exactly what he was the whole time.
I mean,
the J.J. Abrams lost moment is what you're looking for.
No, the J.J. Abrams lost moment is Snoke still being pointless and, them all being dead from the beginning. Right? Like that's...
What was it? The end of Lost was like, oh, we totally knew where this was going.
Well, we were always... everyone was always told, they're not dead. They're not actually dead. And then the show ends and they were all just really dead.
Oh, okay. Well, I guess it's not the same.
So that would be just Snoke. Like, Snoke's not. Like, oh, wait, he was not. Sorry.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like that. I feel like if there's to be any redemption of Snoke, he has to be a key player in whatever
in
Palpatine's plan. Like that's to me, that's the only way he's going to be redeemed as a idea.
Yeah. You don't think it's more compelling though for Snoke to be kind of on his own and the Emperor to be aware of him but not really bothering with him?
That still seems pointless.
Like Snoke can still have his own backstory and how he found the First Order and all that, but it's kind of unrelated to the Emperor's grand
That would be
plan.
fine if Snoke wasn't the reason Kylo is now in the dark side.
Yeah,
Right? Like that's the
there's
thing.
so many
like,
pieces.
Snoke could totally be on his own, whatever, if he had no involvement with Kylo, but he was so instrumental in bringing Kylo to the dark side and trying to get Luke destroyed that I feel like he has to be serving some purpose for the Emperor. Because why go after Vader's grandson and Luke if you're just this random gaudy jacked up looking dark side user? Why are you even a dark side user? You don't have a master that we know of. Like who are you?
Yeah.
Why are you so strong if not for a purpose?
I mean, it could be
if
the Emperor's,
unless he's an acolyte of some sort.
It could be the Emperor's, like we've heard sort of up until now, that the Emperor felt dark side power from the unknown regions, that called out to him at some point. And that could have been how Snoke
that may be why
came up.
That may be why the fleet is Sith and why the troopers are Sith, if there is some sort of Sith power outside in the unknown regions.
Well, Sith was specifically the religion that the Emperor followed. So I don't know if that's
not have anything to do with
I
that.
could see
Unless
like the dark side
Sith
of the Force
power
being strong in some area out in the unknown regions, but
possibly
not the Sith religion specifically, unless there was something in the history of the Sith religion that involved the unknown regions, but we don't know anything about that yet.
Yeah, I just feel like, and I mean, that's been the rumor too, is that there are going to be acolyte involvement, like Sith acolytes. That's the rumored role of Matt Smith, right? Is even though he's been like completely ghosting anything to do with this, it was still rumored that he's in the movie.
See, that's another
but
thing.
he's not listed as part of the cast anymore. So it could be his role was cut, or it could be that he's extremely critical to some storyline with the Emperor, and they can't give us his character name or give us any information about him because it would ruin.
Yeah.
Like if it's like Matt Smith as Sith acolyte, like great. Obviously, that's so.
See, that's the other thing though. Like when talking about this direct connection between Snoke and the Emperor, why was Snoke only a dark side of the Force user and not a Sith? If he's an acolyte, or if he was trained by the Emperor in some way, something like that. Why was he not following the same religion?
Maybe.
That's what I don't. I see that there has to be some connection somehow. I just don't see the Emperor being as involved as you're saying. Even though Vader's grandson is involved in all of this.
Yeah, I feel like there has to be a through line.
There's a lot of moving pieces, and I don't really know how they all fit together.
Yeah, because otherwise it's just really convenient.
What?
That
Snoke brought Ben to the dark side of the Force
and helped destroy Luke.
And now
that
here
just
he
all
is.
seems really convenient for the Emperor.
Yeah.
Like he's just been waiting around for someone to do that for him, and then he's like, "Oh well, now that everything's taken care
that
of,
worked out.
I'm back." Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, technically, Luke was not destroyed by Snoke or Ben. He chose to.
Well, yes, but if he
chose to become one with the
Force, if he wasn't sought out by Snoke and Kylo, that never would have happened in the first place.
He probably would have, died alone.
Yeah, possibly. So, I mean, if that was what Palpatine was waiting for, was for Luke to be gone or for there to be an appropriate host, it's all very convenient that Snoke was critical and all of that happening.
Yeah.
So whether Snoke, like I've said before, whether Snoke's aware of it or not, I think there's a through line to the Emperor with him. There for his redemption and for any of that to make sense, I feel like there has to be.
Maybe. It all comes back to that. To the First Order, the connection between the First Order and the remnants, or whatever the Emperor had planned.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know.
Is there some kind of like Sith dark network that's like just controlling things from the back end? There's acolytes that are part of the First Order,
The Sith dark web.
right? That's where Kylo stumbles upon the documents when he's looking for kickflips.
He's on the dark web for
It's
another reason.
It's the dark web. Okay. Yeah, that's. Oh, Kylo. Poor kid.
You whiny little bitch. All right. Well, in the 10 minutes we have left,
Ooh.
we actually talked about important things up front.
Yeah.
There's a couple new comic series coming out, notably, just because I think this is interesting. There's a new Vader series called Target Vader. It's a 6-issue mini-series that's coming out. The first issue's out right now. And it's bringing back Valance the Hunter from the original Star Wars comics.
No one knows who that is.
I knew who it was.
Old people and us.
Along with... so the premise is there's this group of bounty hunters that was... Vader's going after this criminal syndicate because they're, getting in the Empire's way. And the syndicate hires a group of bounty hunters to go kill Vader. And it's led by Valance the Hunter, along with Dengar and a couple other bounty hunters that we don't know yet.
In the new series, right?
Huh?
You're talking about the new series has Dengar?
This is the Target Vader series that has, Valance the Hunter and Dengar and a handful of other bounty hunters that were hired by this syndicate. To go after Vader. I have the first issue, and I did not read it, even though I had the opportunity to before we recorded. So I will go home and read that.
We keep buying these things. We should really learn to read at some point.
That's we, right?
Yes,
I
said we.
Okay. Just making sure.
That's we're like people who just like buy DVDs, but they don't own a TV. Like
you have this whole movie collection.
I've got all these books, but I can't read them.
Along those lines, I have an HD DVD copy of Batman Begins that's still in the plastic wrapping.
I have it as well.
You do too?
I bought one as well.
I was so convinced
that was like the only movie that came out in HD DVD, and I knew HD DVD wasn't going to make it, so I bought one.
I bought it because I thought...
You thought it was going to win?
Yeah, I thought it was going to win, and it would be good to have like one of the best movies ever on HD DVD when it first became a format.
It was just Dark Knight, right?
Yeah.
No,
it was Batman Begins.
Was
not
it
Dark
Batman
Knight.
Begins?
Dark Knight was after that.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, HD DVD was gone by the time Dark Knight came around.
It didn't. It was maybe a year if they were lucky.
That's somewhere around there. So yeah, I buy expired, dead formats, obsolete formats, and I have no way to watch it. I don't think there's any way to watch it.
There's got to be a player out there somewhere.
Oh yeah, I'm sure, but
a very expensive one.
Right. Anyway, so that's gonna be a cool mini-series. I will keep us updated on that one as soon as I actually read the things that I buy. And then IDW is putting out a Star Wars Adventures. Is it a series or is it just one comic that has this story?
Yeah, it's like a couple issues, I think.
So, but it begins with issue 27, I guess.
Yeah.
And it's going to take place between Last Jedi and Rise of Skywalker, where Chewie returns to Kashyyyk because Kashyyyk is under attack by the First Order.
For the 400th time.
Yeah, Kashyyyk really needs to...
If there's been one planet that has been attacked the most, it would be Kashyyyk.
You've got the original invasion by the Separatists back in the Clone Wars.
Attack of the Clones.
Yeah. Or it's in Revenge of the Sith.
Oh, is it Revenge of the Sith?
Because that's when Order 66 happens. When
Right.
Yoda's on
they're
Kashyyyk
with
Chewie.
with all the plants helicopters.
Yeah, right.
They're helicopters that the professor made on the island in Gilligan's Island. Like made out of coconuts and tree branches.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tree tech.
I never thought about it being like a it's
They
like
are.
a Castaway or,
Yeah,
or like
of the
Family Robinson.
all of the Wookiees like weapons and things that are flying are like branches and leaves. I feel like the
I never
Wookiees are like in there
thought-
like pedaling to make them fly
It's like-
around.
It's like the Swiss Family Robinson created an army. Yeah.
Every time I see the stuff on Kashyyyk in the movie, it makes me so upset that they
Everything's-
have these
it's all
tree
elaborate
technology.
things powered by vines and
Right.
trees and leaves and things. Yeah,
It's like a belt drive, but it's just vines.
right. You pedal a vine belt powered
It's
system.
like an ion engine, but there's still like a belt with vines.
Yeah.
No one knows why.
Yeah.
Yeah, so yeah, you've got the
So there's
separatist
that.
invasion.
And then after that, after Order 66, the Empire got a foothold and created all the slave camps.
Yeah, they like enslave the entire planet basically.
Yeah. And then in Aftermath, Han and Chewie go back there to break up the slave camps
Yeah, they're helping break people out
with the Imperial remnants.
and get his family out.
Yeah.
And yeah, they're breaking it up. And that's
And
not
so they're free in that, the 30-year time period, or not even that.
right.
And now the First Order's back to.
Now the First Order is attacking Kashyyyk. No one will leave them alone. Everyone needs Wookiee power. Gotta get those vine engines.
One of the strongest
they are
species
I mean,
in the galaxy, and
That's why
everybody
they're-
keeps picking on them.
that's why they keep getting enslaved, just because they were using them to help build the.
They
help
got to
build
upgrade
stuff.
for this tree tech. That's why they're such an easy target.
I really want to find.
You got to get some blasters in there.
I really want to find their like pictures
Their
of
vehicles?
their vehicles, because I remember them just being the stupidest looking things.
They look like dragonflies.
Yeah.
They were like
I
little
remember
two-seater
that.
planes,
I remember that.
and they had flappy wings like dragonflies. I don't. It's like it's like Ewok technology, I guess. It's the same kind of thing. It's all sharpened sticks and.
At least the Ewoks were just using pendulums to destroy stuff. They weren't flying logs around.
The Ewoks were more primitive than Wookiees,
Yeah,
for sure, right?
yeah, definitely.
I mean, they were not cannibals, but they ate people. Apparently, they were about to.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, they
They were
were
vicious
they were at
little
least like
things.
swinging logs on vines to destroy stuff. They weren't like sitting in a flying log flume.
Yeah, right. They hadn't got that far.
Right.
Do you think Wookiees eat humans? Because they're carnivores.
Right.
They eat meat.
I would only assume that they would have to.
Do you think the Ewoks are a distant cousin of a Wookiee? They're just like they're an offshoot of. I mean, they're tiny bears, and Wookiees are not really bears. They're more.
Giant bears.
I don't know. They're like swamp bears. I don't know. I don't know how to. Did you find a picture?
I think the internet's been wiped of all photos of these things.
Attack of the Clones was just taken out of.
we
Out of
refuse to
existence.
believe this.
It's a Berenstein Bears situation. What was that called? The Mandela effect, something like
Yeah,
that.
The Mandela
Where
effect.
you swear you remember this thing that it existed, but it actually never did.
Yeah, but everyone remembers that it existed.
Right. But Attack of the Clones is just one of those memories. It never really did exist. Or it was just a movie that
I
was.
can only find Kashyyyk dropships, which are from a video game, which are all made of wood.
It's that right there, isn't it?
Yeah, that's like one of them. It's like a sloop with giant with the giant dragonfly wings.
Yeah, that's it right
flapping
there.
around. Why does it have an engine if it's flapping wings?
Where's the engine?
Like it's got this whole
Oh, there are
It's
electronics in
it's
it.
got this whole turbine, but it's still flapping wings. So inefficient.
Why is it flapping wings?
Oh yeah, these.
Yeah, those things. And it has so here, turn it a little so I can see.
It's got lots of wings
It's got flapping wings on the top.
and the front.
There's a little a smooth canopy thing that goes down, and then flappy wings on the front of the canopy.
It's all flappy wings. That's what's powering
Is there
it.
an engine? I can't tell from here.
Oh, there's like pistons on top.
Powered by what?
I hope he's pedaling.
This is like the Wright brothers airplane.
Yeah. I mean, if the Wookiees are going to fly something that has flapping wings, I want them to be pedaling it. There's just another Wookiee in the back, just like turning a crank to keep it flapping. It's so inefficient. And Wookiees are giant. Not to mention that that ship did look like it was made out of metal. Or just maybe it was really hard wood, which I guess the trees, the roaster trees are like crazy strong. That seems very heavy for flappy wings.
Yeah.
Paper thin dragonfly flappy wings. And before everyone starts complaining, I understand TIE engines shouldn't work like they do, but flappy wings is a step too far.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know.
I can get past ion engines not working the way they do in Star Wars, but
In
flappy wings
in the atmosphere.
That's at least a science fiction thing. Flappy wings are something we all know. We all know flappy wings.
It's not a big stretch. Flappy wings is not a big stretch.
You can't say you've never seen a wing flap. Me, I've seen plenty of flappy wings, and I know that's not how they work.
I've been around, and I've seen plenty of flappy wings in my time.
I have seen, touched, and felt flappy wings. I have been subject to flappy wings, and that's not how they work. Ion engines, sure, whatever. Science, make up some science reasons for why it works. Flappy wings, we know this is hard science.
It's too real.
Hard flappy wing science. Hashtag not my flappy wings.
Flappy bird wings. Is that something?
Is that just a remake of the game?
It's you're in a Wookiee thing and you're having to go down and up. How does that game work? I don't know. What do you do in that game? I never played it.
Flappy bird?
Flappy bird.
Yeah, it's where you tap your screen to make the bird go up, and then you don't tap to make him fall, and then you have to get through the.
I thought that was that was the other game.
That was Flappy Bird.
No, there was another game that was like that.
I don't know.
The one where you go on the hills. Did you ever play that one?
Yeah, it's kind of like that one.
What was that one called?
I don't know.
That one came first.
Sure.
Why?
I don't know that.
It came first.
I can only speak to Flappy Wings, not the history of
not Flappy Bird
Flappy
wings?
apps.
Okay. Flappy apps. That's what I have because I don't exercise enough. I've got flappy apps.
That's what you do when you go to an
If I take off my shirt, I have my flappy apps fall out.
Oh no. I feel sorry for your family.
Well, me too.
All right.
We're done.
We actually saved the pointless conversation for the very end.
We did it.
Congratulations,
That
everyone.
is our episode 100 gift to you. Is now that you have you finished the important parts and you don't have to deal with all the nonsense.
Right.
You can leave.
Yeah.
Before
While this was the 100th
end.
episode, our anniversary as of starting the podcast is in a week and a half from when this episode releases.
And that's the 5-year anniversary?
Right? Isn't that, or am I looking at the wrong
There's a 3-year.
date? Wasn't it in August? Or
I
maybe
don't
I'm
know.
thinking of the wrong month, maybe.
You think I know when we started this?
I'm pretty sure it's
I can't
coming
even
up.
read a comic book.
This is true.
I don't know.
It's coming up.
I don't know what
Yeah.
we do.
Yeah, no, sorry. It is 2.5 weeks. It is the 22nd of August is when we started the podcast.
When's our next episode?
It will be that week. The
All right.
19th will be when the next episode after this one releases, which will be the week of our anniversary
All right.
of starting the podcast. And I'm assuming nothing special will happen on that one either.
August 22nd, 2015. So it's been 4 years.
Yeah.
4 years, not 5.
No, because we do.
Still.
No, because there's 26. Because we do episodes bi-weekly, so we do about 25 episodes a year.
Yeah.
Because we skip one at the end of the year. So yeah, having 100 episodes, that makes total sense.
All right. We did it.
We've almost made it a
To
long time.
the end.
No, episode 100. It's not a big deal. Who cares? It's the same as always.
Man, I'm looking at, we talked about this the other day, but our episode titles They're really good. I
I
really
feel
like
like-
our episode titles.
I feel like our episode titles go unnoticed.
I feel like our whole show goes unnoticed, and a big part of that is episode titles.
Possibly, yeah. The reason it goes unnoticed is like there's no way this could have anything to do with Star Wars because the title is called.
Okay,
like,
here. Our last 5 episode titles. Imagine a large McDonald's. That was the most recent one.
a perfect.
That's
title.
a really good
perfect
title.
title for that episode.
The Good Order. That's a great title.
Totally agree.
There's so much more to talk about.
I love how vague that is.
Great title. The Backwards Man.
The Backwards Man is a really good
Every
one.
time I read that, I think about that conversation. It's really funny to me.
See, I named the titles based off of what made me laugh the most in the episode.
Right.
So this one's probably going to be like Wookiee flaps or something.
Yeah, Flappy Wings.
Flappy wings.
Flappy F's.
Hard flappy science.
Imagine a man who's entirely backwards, except for his. That makes me laugh every time.
It's if you haven't listened to the Backwards Man conversation, I might need to go back and pull that whole conversation and put it in like a video to post on
Yeah,
Twitter.
we probably should. That was a really good
because I love
one.
how complicated it is when really there's nothing complicated.
It's not complicated at all. It's one of you is all backwards except for his head.
Yeah, but no, it's not.
Right?
It's that yes, but the fact that it wasn't that just his head was backwards; it's that everything else was backwards.
Right. It wasn't his head wasn't turned around. His head was normal. But the rest of his body was backwards.
Yes.
Yes. So, The Backwards Man, handful of young adults. Great title.
This is good.
And covered in goo.
I feel like
Who
there's
could
some
forget
episode title.
Covered in
There's
goo?
some episode title about grandmas that I could not
Yeah.
remember what that that conversation even was.
Cabin Full of Grandmas.
Cabin
episode
full
79.
of grandmas.
Yeah. I don't remember that conversation either.
If there's a favorite episode title that you have, please let us know. because
OCBs.
I enjoy naming the episode titles based off of what made me laugh the most.
I don't remember what OCBs was about. Old something bitches. You remember? I don't remember.
No.
Cosmo
all.
Jarvis. Great episode title. That was a real person that we found in the middle of the episode. A guy named Cosmo Jarvis.
That's true.
uh,
Oh.
Rainbows and Sunshine. Super fantastic trackless first order battle escape ride.
See,
These are-
all of these titles evoke memories
Yeah.
for me. That's why I do it. Because otherwise I would never remember what any episode was about unless I name it something that I can at least call back to. Oh yeah, we talked about a giant McDonald's that housed other McDonald's in it.
Yeah.
And so, yeah.
All
Well,
of our episode titles have been great, I think.
yes. Please let it be known that I actually do try to name them in some enjoyable fashion. I don't care if they have anything to do with Star Wars, but they make me laugh.
All right. I think we're about done.
Well, thank you for listening to the 100th episode, and if you've listened to all 100, God be with you. If you haven't reached out to us, you can hit us up.
Star Wars be unto you.
Star Wars unto you, and also with you. You can hit us up on Twitter at Hokie_religion. You can send us an email at asklobot@hokiereligion.com. If you really, really enjoy the show after 100 episodes, you can go on patreon.com/HokieReligion and financially support us with anything $1 or more per month. And it would be greatly appreciated. The episodes go on YouTube if you have to listen to stuff there for some reason. You can find us other places, but we don't look there often. Twitter is the best place, and email. But if Michael reads the email,
I do.
he won't respond to it, but it'll take away the notification that we got an email, so I won't know, so I won't respond to it.
I flagged an email the other day that was important.
I didn't know about that.
Well, I flagged it, so that's your
'Cause
fault for not
check
knowing about it.
You check the notifications before I can, and then I forget there was an email, and then it's just...
So it's not my fault because I read the email.
Yeah, but you don't...
And if it's important, I tell you about it, but it's never important.
Oh, no. All right.
But yeah, I
Well,
do mark it as read. Not
Yeah, so ask Lobot at HokieReligion.com. Otherwise, that's it.
Otherwise, that's it.
100 episodes, almost 4 years of this. Thank you for listening. I appreciate it.
Thank you for listening.
I don't listen.
Me neither.
Good to know. Why would we subject ourselves to this
I don't know.
more than once?
All right. This has been Hokey Religion.
Good day.
Good day.
Wookiee religion is an ancient weapon. Wookiee religion is an ancient weapon, so no match for a good blaster at your side.